Guten Tag and welcome to PA Dutch 101. This is video 24 in our series, and we'll be talking about articles of clothing, describing clothes, and being able to talk about what you're wearing or what someone else is wearing or what you will be wearing in the future. This is a vocabulary-based video. If you have not seen the previous 23 videos, I would invite you to watch those and then come back and watch this, although it's not completely necessary. But this again will be building vocabulary, no grammar this time around. So, Clothes.m4v, let's go. Articles of clothing. The word for clothing in German and Pennsylvania Dutch is die Kleider. Die Kleider. Alright. I'm going to go through a list of the most common articles of clothing. We'll go over the word, the pronunciation, and move on. So it's going to be up to you to later go back and study these words and get them committed into your memory. Alright. So, we'll do two columns. First off, the word for a hat, and I'm also giving you the gender with each of these nouns so you can memorize those right away as well. Remember how important it is to memorize the gender of nouns when learning new words. So, hat is der Hut. Der Hut. Der Hut. Shirt, es Hemd. Es Hemd. Es Hemd. Sweater, es Sweater. Es Sweater. Es Sweater. Pants, die Hose. Die Hose. Die Hose. T-shirt, es T-shirt. Es T-shirt. Es T-shirt. Sock, one sock, der Strumpf. Der Strumpf. Der Strumpf. Suit, der Suit. Der Suit. Der Suit. Jacket, der Wammes. Der Wammes. Der Wammes. Gloves, die Händchen. Die Händchen. Die Händchen. Boots, die Stiebel. Die Stiebel. Die Stiebel. Coat, der Rock. Der Rock. Der Rock. Skirt, der Stock. Der Stock. Der Stock. Blouse, es Kittel. Es Kittel. Es Kittel. Dress, der Frock. Der Frock. Der Frock. Stockings, like what a girl might wear, or a woman, die Strümpf. Die Strümpf. Die Strümpf. And jeans, this would also be the word for like overalls, bib overalls, for example, die Überhose. Die Überhose. Die Überhose. Specifically for jeans. Now, if you're talking like dress pants, like what I have on today, then we would use the word Hose, but you can use Hose in replace for jeans as well if you're just saying pants, alright? Now, you might ask, how comes there's no Pennsylvania Dutch word for t-shirt or suit, for example, and we're using the English? Well, you have to remember that a lot of our vocabulary is based on 200 plus years old, and back then there weren't words for t-shirt necessarily or suit, so we've adopted the English words. I've never heard any other Pennsylvania Dutch word for t-shirt or suit. It might be out there, but I personally have never heard it. If I ever hear one, I'll let you guys know. Start memorizing these. Is this a complete list? No, but it's a list that has probably everything that you really need when talking about clothing. Okay? I do have a couple more though as well. Short, die Katzhose. Die Katzhose. Die Katzhose. Literally short pants. Scarf, es Halstuch. Es Halstuch. Es Halstuch. Sweatshirt, here's another word, we're just using the English word spelled in a Dutch style. A sweatshirt. A sweatshirt. A sweatshirt. Shoes, die Schuh. Die Schuh. Die Schuh. Belt, der Gerdel. Der Gerdel. Der Gerdel. And a bow tie or a tie, der Schlupp. Der Schlupp. Der Schlupp. Okay? Now, using all those vocabulary words that we just learned, let's put them into sentences and be able to talk about clothes. Okay? There are certain words that we need to know, verbs especially, when talking about clothes. Okay? I'm going to jump all three at one time. There are three words or verbs used in Pennsylvania Dutch when talking about wearing something. Now, they all mean basically to wear, and it really doesn't matter which one you use or when you use it, as long as you're using one of those three. So the three verbs that in Pennsylvania Dutch we have that mean to wear is draw, 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 wear, 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 and ahouwen, ahouwen, ahouwen. Now remember, with ahouwen, we have our stem, or our root, which is the verb houden, which we know is an irregular verb and conjugates irregularly. Also notice that I do have a slash between the ah and the houden, signaling to you that this is a separable prefix verb, meaning this part, this ah, comes off and goes to the end of the sentence. We've worked with verbs like that in previous videos. Personally, in my family, we tended to use these two verbs when talking about clothes over this one. But it doesn't matter. Depending where you are or who you're talking with, they might prefer one over the other. I'm letting you know that all three are acceptable. Okay? So if you were asking someone, what are you wearing today? We could say, was draagst du heute? Was draagst du heute? Was draagst du heute? We could also then take wäre and use it and say, was wehrt die Susi zum Tanz? What is Susie wearing to the dance? Was wehrt die Susi zum Tanz? Was wehrt die Susi zum Tanz? Or we could use ahouwen and ask the question, was hat die Daddy an? Was hat die Daddy an? What is your dad wearing? Was hat die Daddy an? Notice it's split apart like we talked about earlier, and then you have to conjugate hawa for whatever your subject is. In this case, die Daddy. Was hat die Daddy an? Okay? Now, what if we wanted to talk about how clothes fit? We tend to use the verb passen, 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 when talking about how clothes fit. For example, if you want to ask someone, hey, wie passt dir die Hose? Wie passt dir die Hose? How do the pants fit? Maybe you're shopping with someone and they went into the changing room and put on a new pair of pants and came out. You want to ask them, hey, wie passt dir die Hose? How do they fit? Okay. You can answer that by saying, for example, die Hose passt nicht. Die sind zu lang. Die Hose passt nicht. Die sind zu lang. So the pants don't fit. They are too long. Die Hose passt nicht. Die sind zu lang. Other helpful words when talking about clothes fitting. Of course, clothes sometimes can be too big or too long. So groß is long and lang is long. Groß, groß is big. I think I just made a mistake and said lang. Groß is big. Lang, lang, lang is long. Okay. The opposite of both those, short and small, Katz, Katz, Katz is short, and glay, glay, glay is small. Okay, so we could interchange any of these with when talking about clothes. Okay. Good bits of evening. How about a little practice? So, I'm going to throw these questions out, pause the video, try them, see what you get. Your answers might not be the same as mine. These are just sample answers. But here's the first question. Now this, of course, is different for each of us. Was tragst du heute? Was tragst du heit? So look at yourself, pause the video, and write out a sentence telling what you are tragen. Was tragst du heit? What are you wearing? An example answer could be something like this. Heit trage ich Überhose und ein Sweatshirt. Heit trage ich Überhose und ein Sweatshirt. So today I'm wearing jeans and a sweatshirt. What about this? This is going back to a previous video. See if you remember your Farbe. Welche Farbe hat dein Hemd? Welche Farbe hat dein Hemd? If you remember back to that previous video, we remember that Farbe comes from Farbe, which is the word for color. So, what color does your shirt have? Welche Farbe hat dein Hemd? My Hemd is braun, for example. My Hemd is braun. Today I'd say my Hemd is green. But for that sentence, there we go. Was wärst du zu einem Tanz anhaben? I keep coming back to dances. I like to go to dances. Was wärst du zu einem Tanz anhaben? So, future tense, which is also from a previous video, combined with what we're talking about today. What will you wear to a dance? Again, it's different, and it's going to be different from a guy as opposed to a girl. Should be, at least, anyway. For example, using the future tense, I could say something like this. Ich wär ein Suit und ein Schluck anhaben. Ich wär ein Suit und ein Schluck anhaben. I will wear a suit and a tie. It's a formal dance. Okay? Or, if you're a girl or a woman, ich wär ein Frack und Strümpf anhaben. Ich wär ein Frack und Strümpf anhaben. So, I will wear a dress and stockings, for example. Okay? And these, of course, are just basic general answers. You can play with them. You can create more. A good thing to practice clothes, I would say, is go around your house looking at what people are wearing and then stop them and tell them in Pennsylvania Dutch what they're wearing. And don't just say, you are wearing jeans and a t-shirt. Build your vocabulary. Use your vocabulary. Talk about, do they fit well? Talk about the colors. And then tell them if you like it or not. There's all these things we've covered in previous videos. Or the next time you're out shopping, when you're in the clothing section of a store, quiz yourself. Maybe you want to do it out loud. That'll get people talking. What's that guy saying? And then you can turn and say, I'm speaking Pennsylvania Dutch. Haha. But when you're walking around that clothing section of a store, say to yourself, oh, the shirts are green, or the pants are long and blue, for example. Okay? It's the only way you're going to get better. Unless you have someone that you can really practice with, you're going to have to practice on your own. But you have the tools, start using them now, and practice, practice, practice. Okay? I think we too easily forget that we can be practicing our Dutch in every situation based on all the stuff we've covered so far. You can really practice a lot by yourself, either internally in your mind as you're walking around seeing stuff, or verbalizing out loud, which would be better. I know it kind of draws attention to you a little bit, but you got to ask yourself, what's the final goal? Do you want to get better and look like a fool maybe for a couple minutes in public, or would you rather practice internally in your mind? That's your call. Personally, I'd tell you, get out there and start speaking Dutch as much as you can and as often as you can, and don't be afraid to say it in front of people. Okay? I think for too many generations, our forefathers, it was suppressed, and we need to lift that stigma that was placed upon there by society off, and we need to be proud Pennsylvania Dutchmen and not be afraid to tell people, yes, I'm American, and yes, I was born here and I've lived here my whole life, as well as 4 or 5 generations of my family, but we still have this dialect and this language that we hold dear to. We gotta get the public interest out there and also let the rest of society know that, yeah, we're here and you can't put us down anymore, okay? So, the only way we're going to do that is if people realize that there are people still talking the dialect. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this. We need to bring it back. We'll never get it back to where it was in the level of proficiency that it was 50, 70, 80 years ago. But we can at least do what we can. So, there, I got on my soapbox for a little bit. Sorry. Practice your clothes. Practice talking about them, how they fit, colors, descriptions, etc. Bis die nächste Video. Mach's gut und schwätz Deutsch.